NBA playoffs are here. It's time to rip some of our final drafts on Underdog and on Drafters. Kicking off tomorrow. A wonderful weekend of 8 games, a couple more play-in games tonight to finalize the field, and then it's time to see if we drafted the nuts, and we're going to try to do that here today on Spike Week. NBA playoff basketball time. Let's do it. All right, guys, we're back. In case you missed yesterday's show, we went deep. We went very deep on this year's 2025 NBA playoff basketball strategy for both Underdog and Drafters. We talked our bracket. We talked our draft strategy and how the different positional nuances and all of that good stuff, how we construct our teams together, maybe some cheap players that can help us advance, our Celtics and our Thunder. We talked all of that yesterday. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, also hit that like button while you're looking down there, and you can get notified when all of that content drops. I won't belabor the fun part. We're here to draft. We talked X's and O's and matchups and some game theory and roster construction and all of that yesterday. Make sure you check out that video as well. We did hop in a couple drafts at the end there. We're going to start with an Underdog draft here in just a second, but I do want to make sure that everybody is aware. Our good friends over at Drafters, if you see on the right side of your screen here, Drafters support for the last 24 hours. Today, it's Friday. What is today? Friday, April 18th. If you draft 5 teams, this also applies to their NHL playoff basketball tournaments. If you draft 5 teams today, you'll get a free ticket that'll be put in your account tomorrow morning. So you can draft up to 15. Let's say you draft 15 teams today, you get 3 more free tickets into this NBA playoff basketball tournament. They also have other milestones, not showing here, but every 10 teams you draft, 25 teams, 50 teams, you can get a whole bunch of free tickets over on Drafters if you have not signed up yet for Drafters Fantasy. Check out that video yesterday. We broke down some of the strategy in their cumulative scoring format and why it's a little bit different, why they have some different positional nuances. There's also stuff up on the site, spikeweek.com, where you can get all the strategy specific to this year's tournament as well as overall drafter strategy. So make sure you go and check that out. But you can also get a 100% deposit bonus, new users up to $100. So, you deposit $100 today, Drafters gives you $100, and you can get a whole bunch of free tickets for this NBA playoff basketball season, which is going to be a ton of fun. But of course, without further ado, we're here to draft, right? We don't gotta do. We'll talk all along the way. We'll talk about plenty of these takes, but we're gonna fire into an Underdog draft first, and then we might do a couple. I'm gonna try to get to at least to my 5 on Drafters today to get my free ticket. But we're gonna hop into Underdog first. To my good people, hello, Unfiltered, welcome back. Pepper Tony, what a phenomenal name. Thank you for joining. I'm excited. The opening weekend, I'm not saying that this is better than the Super Bowl or the World Series, or I'm a huge March Madness fan. Opening weekend of March Madness is the greatest. I'm not saying that opening weekend of the NBA playoffs is to that level, but I don't know, man. It's definitely up there. It is 8 games in 2 days, all day long, both Saturday and Sunday. We've also got the NHL playoffs kicking off tomorrow. I'm just going to have to tell the wife, don't tell her this. I'll tell her to her face. If she wants to do something tomorrow during the day, specifically in the early evening when my St. Louis Blues play and there's insane basketball games going on, we may not be seeing eye to eye on all of that. Tomorrow is going to be incredible. I'm going to be strapped to my couch. Going to have to get up and exercise in the morning because there may not be too many steps getting done the rest of the day. It's going to be absolutely glorious. Let's see here. Some good questions as our tournament. The 101, baby. Let's go. Perfect time to get Shea, as you can see here. I always make sure I draft with it zoomed out a little bit, but you realize quickly that from a stream perspective, it doesn't do as well. Maybe I can switch the view and we'll get it a little bit better. I have 27% Jason Tatum and 14% Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So this is the perfect time to get a little bit more Shea in my life. I do love the Thunder. I do love Shea. I suspect he's going to win the MVP. Ransack says these dance lobbies have been hectic today, to say the least. That is not surprising. I do actually like, there's this weird, do you draft early and possibly get unlucky with the playoff bracket? Certainly you can get unlucky with a team like the Memphis Grizzlies if you were drafting them, which I have a couple of teams with a little bit of Grizzlies on them from early drafts, and try to get like some insane ADP values. I think that has a ton of merit, and I do that as well. Sometimes you're able to get some Celtics combinations or Thunder combinations or whatever that you aren't able to get now. But now we have things solidified, right? We know who's playing who. We know certain teams that they would have to get to the conference finals to even play each other. That's hugely beneficial. But also, the lobbies can get a little crazy at the end. You may get some values or some player combinations that you weren't able to get early because, if you're drafting 2 months out or whatever from the NBA playoffs, you're probably a pretty big NBA fan. You're probably a pretty big best ball sicko. So I like to, we've talked about this a long time, kind of barbell my approach and draft a chunk early to where maybe I can get some nice values and then draft a chunk late where I think the rooms, as Ransack says, can be a little bit more chaotic. Plus, obviously, I know what the bracket looks like. Pepper Tony says, for an NBA noob, can you explain why the Rockets are 2 seed, but they have the 10th highest odds? Yeah, the seeding, isn't necessarily indicative of the team strength. I think that's about right for the Rockets. We see this quite a bit, actually, in the NBA, where a team can get a 2 seed, a 3 seed. Even last year, the Thunder were the 1 seed, and I did not pick them to make the finals. I had them losing in the second round. I'm not obviously doing that with the Thunder this year, but it's just a simple case of the seeding is not necessarily indicative of the order in which these teams are in terms of their, talent, team quality. Certainly playoff basketball is a little bit different. That's an issue for the Rockets. The half court offense for the Rockets is a serious flaw. And if you can't score in the half court, transition dependent teams in the playoffs can struggle offensively because there's just less transition, right? It's the playoffs. Teams are playing stronger defense. They're not letting other teams get out into said transition. So I don't have any. Looks like I don't have any Mobley. Let me see here. Do I take Chet or do I take Derek White? I have so much Derek White. I'm trying to think if I try to set myself up for OKC and Cleveland, or excuse me, OKC versus Cleveland or Boston, or if we just pile on into Chet like we usually would do. Or we could take both Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Let's just do Chet. It'll be boring. I just can't help it with the Thunder. I love the Thunder. I love the draw the Thunder got. I love everything about it. Nice to fill the big spots early. We know wing is going to get tricky. And so it's nice to just know where you need to focus with your wings early in the draft. There's some late wings. We talked about this a lot yesterday, right? There's oh no. My guy Bernie also started with OKC and Cleveland. So we'll see how this works. What do you got, B Kurt? Oh, Donnie and J-Dub. Oh, I like that. That's nice. whereas I have SGA, Mobley, and Chet. So we'll be duking it out for these Thunder and Cavs. I feel like doing this on a stream, you have a significant leg up on me. A significant leg up on me. Yeah, as Pepper Tony says, if you didn't watch the show yesterday, buddy, wait till we get to the drafters drafts where you have to start 2 forwards. They label them as forwards, we call them wings. You have to start 2 in every round on drafters. Man, it gets really, really tough. And it's tough as it is on Underdog, especially, again, like OKC and Cleveland. This specific matchup that I'm targeting now for the finals is they're outside of Jalen Williams. There's like hardly any wings even available. So now we got DeAndre Hunter, Aaron Wiggins, Max Strus, Isaac Okoro as the wing options. It's bad, right? And so what does that mean? Of course, I need to make sure to prioritize one of those guys, but also I'm going to need wing scoring for 3 rounds. Right? I need wings to score points for not just the first round, probably not just the second round, probably 3. Maybe I can use a DeAndre Hunter score or something to advance in the 3rd round, right? That's possible, but man, it's tricky. It's very, very tricky. We do luckily have some good wings here available to us. I got to decide if I'm going to take Hunter here and just lock that down, which I do think is what I'm going to do. Sorry, Bernie, but you already have Jalen Williams. You don't need DeAndre Hunter. I need DeAndre Hunter. Now the question is, where do we start to look for these kind of secondary pieces to push this team through? I think the first place I'm going to look, I'm gonna look to Amen Thompson first. Look to my Rockets. The aforementioned Rockets from Pepper Tony about them being the 2 seed. I know many folks are not so into the Rockets like I am. Oh my God. My dad says he got gifted a Tatum J-Dub team on Drafters yesterday. I hope you landed that plane, because that's a beaut. Man, that's awesome. I got a bunch of Jaylen Brown, Jalen Williams teams. I do not have a Tatum J-Dub team yet, and I am very jealous. We'll have to see if we can get that in our drafts today, because man, what a unique start, but also, gosh, just I mean, the best wing on the title the best wing on the 2 title favorites, right? And you need 2 of them. I will check that out after we're done here. Have you done any Lakers Celtics? It has felt hard to build. You want to try Jalen and LeBron in the 6th hole, but the bigs are yeah. If you don't have Porzingis, the Lakers, don't really have a big. You're going to have to do Horford or Jackson Hayes. I'll be completely honest. I'm not drafting the Lakers. I know, I fully understand. I took some Lakers early on, so I do have some Luka, LeBron, Reeves, etc. A couple Dorian Finney-Smith shares from early drafts, but I'm not currently drafting them anymore. So I can't say that I have done that. We got into it yesterday. I'm well aware that my Minnesota Timberwolves love and my anti-Lakers kind of stance could be the quick and easy burial, just so quick. But I love the Timberwolves, and not just because I do straight up think Minnesota will win. So I'll own that if it's wrong, but I also think the Lakers in a coin flip in what I would call a coin flip series, or at least close enough to a coin flip series, the Lakers are so expensive and the Timberwolves are so cheap. They have every single position, right? Edwards at guard. If you really want cheap guards, they got some cheap guards. DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, Conley, Randall and McDaniels on the wing, Gobert and Naz Reid as bigs. There's just so many options for the Timberwolves to make your teams work, and there's like no options for the Lakers to make your teams work. Let's see here. Let's get back to the queue. So I do need one more for my finals matchup, but the nice thing is I can wait a little bit on that one. I am going to pass on. I'm not going to take Jalen Green here. I could do Wiggins, but I think I would rather wait for, what pick would I be? 48? Ooh. Tricky. We're going to do, I need some wing scoring. I don't hate the idea of using, I just got to do, it's just got to be Randall on this team. It really does. I don't have Randall with that first round and second round combination. As you can see here, kind of whether I've drafted these guys with the player combinations that I have so far. I only have Shea at guard. So shit, maybe Jalen Green doesn't make sense on this team. That stinks. I really don't love Jalen Green. This stinks. We got to do it. If you've done enough of these drafts, you see that. Look, I'm terrified about Jalen Green. He's fine. I'll have my 10+% or whatever on the sites of Jalen Green. But he is, as was pointed out yesterday, Jalen Green does have some risk to him. I just think he has game-to-game risk in terms of his playing time, because he's the one target for the Warriors from a defensive perspective, like the one rocket that the Warriors can just go at. And, think about Şengün. They can target Şengün in the pick and roll with Steph, but Brooks, awesome defender. Amen Thompson, one of the best defenders in the NBA. Fred VanVleet, actually sneaky, really good defender for Steph Curry, and also can do a good job on Podziemski. And then you bring off the bench, Tari Eason and Jabari Smith and these guys who are also great defenders, that if things are going south defensively, you could see, Jabari or Eason come in and steal some minutes from Jalen Green. So that feels a little uncomfortable, but they just need his scoring. I just don't see how, with as bad as the Rockets offense is, I just don't see how they can score enough points if Jalen Green isn't playing. So, you can see both sides. You can see the upside and you can see the risk. And, if it goes 7 or something, and the Thunder sweep the Grizzlies or the Mavs, depending upon who wins that game tonight, I might need that guard score in the first round. That's where I do love like Ant on teams like this, or Halliburton on teams like this. I could have done that instead of Hunter and come back for Wiggins or Strus. But I just like DeAndre Hunter quite a bit. I think we haven't seen the full minutes load that DeAndre Hunter is capable of getting on the Cavs. I think the playoffs were what the acquisition of Hunter was for. And so I think he's a good clip above, certainly above Aaron Wiggins, but also above his own teammate, Strus. This is a good question. Ransack says, do you like the Clips or Nuggets in that series? I like the Clippers. It's another one that's a total coin flip. So we have a bunch of those coin flips. I don't think the East are coin flips. I think the East is fairly straightforward in the opening round, and maybe even the second round. But the West to me has 3 total coin flips. Thank God. All right, I'll answer that in just a second. We wanted Lou Dort on this team, so now let's figure. It's probably Gobert. Gobert. Yeah. So the nice thing about this is with Dort and Gobert doesn't fit this that much, but having taken Amen and Randall, let's say they win. Let's say they both win, right? Which is what I need for this to happen. I know DeAndre Hunter is mostly a 3rd or 4th round of this tournament play. mainly a play for the finals. And so let's say Houston beats Golden State and Minnesota beats the Lakers. I've now got both of those guys as wings for the second round, but they would play each other in the second round. So that would also guarantee me one of them in the third round. So, I don't love sacrificing players if at all possible, but if I'm going to do it, it makes a ton of sense to do it when I'm like really weak at wing, where, if all I need is these guys to win in the first, that's not all I need. A huge chunk of what I need is these two teams to win in the first round. And if that happens, I've completely covered up my, my warts at the wing position. But yeah, the Clippers Nuggets series, I did break that down. If you go to, we talked about it yesterday for sure, but I also like wrote in depth about it on the site. You can see in my bracket, go to my bracket for 2025 or whatever it's titled on the site. It's also in the menu header under strategy. And I think right now, the caveat is it's the Clippers in the playoffs. Get ready for that inevitable. Kawhi is questionable to play in game 3. And all this will go out the window. But as it stands right now, Kawhi Leonard is fully healthy and playing like peak Kawhi Leonard. Peak Kawhi Leonard as a two-way player is a top 5 player in the NBA. Give or take. I know, shoot me, somewhere in that region as a two-way player. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And he's an outstanding offensive player. James Harden, Zubats is playing Zubats might make all NBA. Like that's how good he is. Norm Powell gets to be the 4th option, right? Bogdanovich gets to be the 5th, 6th option. They are, in my opinion, the Clippers, given where we're at with Kawhi right now, the second best team in the Western Conference. And so Jokic is the best player on the planet. So they definitely have the best player in the series, even above Kawhi. But I think that the Nuggets have more warts. The lack of shooting, the lack of depth. After Jokic, the roster is fine. Like I love Aaron Gordon, but Christian Brown's taken a nice big leap. But I just ultimately side with the Clippers in that series. I really should have been paying attention here to what I need left on this team. So I got my finals. Matchup here. We're getting another. I think I definitely think this team needs another. I could do like if Ty Jerome. I think Ty Jerome actually makes sense on this team because in the finals, like if he outscores Lou Dort, if we get one of those big Ty Jerome series, I've kind of laid out the framework for what this team has to do in order to advance, right? Amen, Randall, Jalen Green, or SGA in the first round with just give me somebody down here. Give me somebody down here having a big week in the opening round. And then a Houston and a Minnesota win obviously sets me up. I'll have a full roster in the second round. And now I'm probably more likely to use SGA, Chet, Mobley, use those guys score. So now I actually have a little bit of flexibility to take Ty Jerome and just give myself that 6th player in that last flex play, whether it's Ty Jerome or Lou Dort as the highest scoring player, at least gives me another out to winning in the finals. Let's go ahead and jump over to drafters. As I mentioned at the jump, if you were not here, Drafters has this nice little promo over here. If you draft 5 teams today on Drafters in this NBA contest, also applies for NHL if you're a puckhead. I might have to hop in the NHL streets, by the way. My Blues are going to lose, but I mean, come on, we're back in the playoffs. If I don't draft a team with at least like some give me some Robert Thomas, brother. If I don't draft some Blues, what's even the point of them making the playoffs? But if you draft 5 NBA teams on Drafters today, by the end of the day, they'll give you a free ticket. You can do that up to 3 times. So you can draft 15 teams and get 3 free tickets. They are also giving away, I got my free ticket I got another free ticket just yesterday for whichever you hit milestones. I think just the first one. Yeah. You hit milestones, you get free tickets. You can get a whole mess load of free tickets over on Drafters. It's pretty sweet. So looks like we're 3 out of 6. I'll make this 4 out of 6. Yeah, Unfiltered says those 2 series are legit coin flips. I think Clippers Nuggets is definitely a total coin flip. I think Minnesota. I truly believe that Rockets Warriors is a coin flip too. So I'm going to call all 3 of them. I understand the potential difference of opinion there. 101, baby. Let's go back-to-back 101s. The best ball gods are here with us. So Jason Tatum, come on down. As you see, so I have 33% Shea. I drafted Shea this morning. 33% Shea. I drafted Shea at the 102, 103. It didn't work. I think I did it last night as well. I think Wydad, who is in this draft with me out of the 103, I think you might have been in that draft, Wydad, where I had actually a really awesome Thunder Cavs team, and all I needed was one of like Hunter Hauser or Isaac Okoro, who is a forward on Drafters, just to fill out my championship. And I got sniped I couldn't even get Isaac Okoro on the team, so I'm short of anybody in the finals. But nonetheless, it's a really fun build over here on Drafters with the got to start 2 guards, 2 forwards, a center, and a flex. But I think, back to the series point, I think 3 series in the West are coin flips. I understand why people don't really respect the Rockets, but I think I don't think the Rockets can win the NBA championship. I don't think they can make the NBA championship. I only picked them to win 1 series, but that defense and what they can do to Steph Curry, I think you could just call it a coin flip strictly because of this. The series is going to be really low scoring. Go back and look at the games that those 2 teams have played, especially since Jimmy Butler has been on the Warriors, and it's just slugfest. Like, it's straight up slugfest. The 106-96 was the last game. Like, that's crazy. 200 points in an NBA game. It was one of the worst Steph games I've ever seen in my entire life because Amen Thompson and Fred VanVleet just took him out of the game. And so just in a sheer fact that it's going to be really, really low scoring means kind of anybody can win. You just need some luck, right, to win. And I think with Houston being so cheap, who's over here posted in the chat? Hi, Eric. Hello, Dawson. That's hilarious. Shout out, Dawson. Unfiltered says, I probably lean mini slightly, but Clips Nuggets is total 50-50. I agree. I lean Minnesota. I bet all of those 3 teams to win: Minnesota, Houston, and the Clippers to win those series. I haven't looked up the latest odds on the Pacers. I would like to bet the Pacers. They're probably heavy favorites now. I should have bet it like an idiot. I should have bet it before the game news. We got news that Damian Lillard is officially not going to play to start the series, but he just got cleared, just stopped taking his blood thinner medication. It's a tough scene. I should probably do something a little bit different with this start. There goes Mobley. So I just don't know how you don't take Porzingis. I picked 12. He goes at 8.8. I just don't know how to not take him. Now the question is, do I just go ahead and take Drew? I think I just go ahead and take Drew. I know it's a reach. We can backfill. The interesting thing about drafters is you can backfill some cheap Thunder if you still want to play for Celtics Thunder. That's what I do like about the DraftKings strategy or DraftKings Drafters strategy with this year is there's all those cheap Thunder guys now. They're all guards. So you better make sure that you have, right? Like, so if I want to have Celtics Thunder, this team, it requires Sam Hauser on it, which is fine. But you can still always get, if you want Cavs and Thunder, you can get it. Now, you may not get it with SGA. You may not get Chet or J-Dub, but you can always give yourself outs to still having full finals rosters with the Thunder if you draft accordingly. So it's kind of fun. I enjoy doing that instead of taking, these flyers on late guys that are just on the teams that have almost no shot of making it. I'm a pretty big fan of just piling on the Carusos and the Cason Wallaces and those guys late in drafts. It's like Wydad is working on the yesterday when we did the draft on the stream, the 101 went with a little like Jokic, Giannis, and just going absolutely nuts on like some high scorers. And if they win, like obviously I'm picking the Pacers, I'm picking the Clips, but if Jokic, especially if they have long series, which we would expect if the Nuggets and the Bucks are going to win, you might score so many points in the first 2 rounds that like over you've already won, that being said, I'm taking Ant and Kawhi. I'm just going to take Ant and Kawhi. I'm going to need some early round scoring, but I mean, geez, if my Timberwolves and Clippers picks end up being correct, yeah, sign me up for multiple rounds of those guys around my Celtics, maybe around my Thunder or whoever I attach here. I can also take, match I don't have to do Thunder. I can do Clippers, Celtics, and Minnesota Celtics. This is fun. Draft Gods granted me on Shea, J-Dub, Chet, and Hartenstein yesterday. Definitely one of those, right? You got to be smart about how you put those teams together. But gosh, Thunder make the finals. And they also just, it's so hard for me to envision them even losing a game to Memphis, or Dallas. But the second round, they're not going to sweep the Clippers or the Nuggets. So you just got to get through that first, you got to find a way on drafters to score enough points in the first round that you're not dead and buried, which can be a little tricky. But as long as you know that, that's a golden start. And on Underdog, just find a way to sneak into second in your pod. It's all good. Yeah, good. Keep the Spike Week knowers out of my NHL drafts for a bit. Shout out Melch. Crushed the NHL regular season tournament on drafters. So now he's coming over and he's going to defend his crown in the playoff contest. I do stay out of your NHL streets because I'm not good at NHL. I don't know outside of the Blues. I know the Blues quite well, but outside of the Blues, not my area of expertise. The old NHL streets. All right, sweet. Zoo comes back to me. That is beautiful and needed. Randall probably is the other correct pick here. Josh Hart also does make sense, though. 100. Okay, so hold on. Let me take Zoo. I do not have enough Zoo. 17%. I felt like I was drafting Zoo every time. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is there's really no more good guards. I'm going to take Josh Hart because I've made this mistake several times where I'm like, oh, well, this is a Minnesota team. It just needs Julius Randle. And that's not like wrong. But with Drew as my first guard, I'm just not using his score. Definitely not in round 1. Probably not in round 2. He's not going to be like the top scorer. He's at best a 3rd round bet, maybe 4th, maybe finals bet. That sounds crazy to take a guy in the 3rd round who's really just a finals bet, but the price is the price for the Celtics. If the Celtics make the finals, you need these guys. And so I've drafted way too many teams with the Celtics specifically, and a little bit the Thunder, where even if they make the finals, I would be so far behind because I just don't have enough guard juice. I'm not saying Josh Hart is, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but if we get a couple of Pistons wins, Josh Hart is going to play like 45 minutes game or whatever. And we saw last playoffs, he's just scoring a shit ton of fantasy points. That there's just like, look at the guards that are available after Josh Hart. Jalen Green, the Thunder guys, which of course I like, but they're only finals bets. You do not want to be using Alex Caruso's score until the finals. So Fred VanVleet, I guess, is like really the last guy. I like Ty Jerome, but again, mostly a finals bet. Like, it's just role players. Sorry to Memphis, but even if you get in tonight, you're playing the best defense on the planet in the Thunder, and you're probably going to get swept. Like 4 games of Ja against the Thunder is not appealing. There's just no super cheap guard options. There's mid-tier guard options, Ant and Halliburton and Cade and Harden and Brunson. There's mid-tier, round 4 to 6, but there's just no cheap ones. But there are some cheap forwards and bigs, especially with Minnesota, with Houston, etc. Damn it. Hauser is what I was hoping for. Is it Wydad? Yeah, of course. Son of a bitch. That's what I wanted, Hauser. So we're going to have to... Let me think about this. I'm going to have to probably play Minnesota to the finals on this team, I think. Gobert, McDaniels. Yeah. Gobert, McDaniels. Because I'm playing Celtics. Oops. I'm playing the Celtics to the final. And I've got 3 of them. McDaniels gives me the full Minnesota, right? So this would give me in the finals Porzingis, Gobert, Drew, Ant, Tatum, McDaniels. I'm not really set up for the Clips, but I have a chance to set myself up for the Clips still in these final rounds. Really did want a Hauser there. I would have passed on Gobert. I would have taken Hauser and McDaniels. And if I wanted another Minnesota guy, I can do Nas or DiVincenzo or Alexander Walker. That's what I would have done. But this is okay. We're not dead. We keep on pivoting. Even if you don't get your exact perfect team that you want, we keep on pivoting. This is definitely true. Pepper Tony says NBA drafters and using the entire clock. Name a more iconic duo. That is true. That's a fact. I would have liked VanVleet. I do have our Spike Week rankings uploaded here, as you can see, so it's not exactly perfectly following along the ADP. So as you can obviously guess, why are these guys all at the top? My Minnesota love, my Clippers love, OKC love, Cleveland. I do like a little Jalen Duren, but I've clearly taken 33% Jalen Duren with Tatum. So I don't want to do that. And 20. So here's an interesting one. You look at these Jalen Duren numbers. I have 17% Jalen Duren overall, but 33% of my Jason Tatum teams have Jalen Duren. 25% of my, there he goes. 25% of my Kristaps Porzingis teams have Jalen Duren, probably trying to get a cheap center to get some round 1 production from, and maybe they upset the Knicks. But I didn't have Duren with both of them. So my initial inclination would be, I have him on so many Tatum teams, I don't want to do that again. But since I don't have him on Porzingis plus Tatum teams, I think it would be viable to take Duren. Again, just depends, how many drafts you're going to do. How often are you okay having Jalen Duren on 40% of your Jason Tatum teams? That's debatable. Into round 10, and we'll do one more drafters after this. We'll do one more drafters. So instead of OKC, I think I need to bet against OKC on this team, which is not fun. Very not fun. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense, I don't think. I think these Houston are probably my best. Let me think about this now. I think the Houston guys and or Nas. So here's an interesting one. I have 33% Nas. You can see I love me some Nas Reed. And Nas is on 50% of my round on my Drew teams. I'm going to take Jabari Smith Jr. and then decide if I'm going to do Eason with him or do Nas. I kind of don't. I mean, we've already done Zoo. We've already done Gobert. I think we double down on Eason, and I'm trying to think here. Because I could also do Ty Jerome and say the Celtics play. Let's do that, actually. I'm going to do Ty Jerome and say, okay, the Celtics play the Cavs in the conference finals. You know, Ty Jerome, Drew, give me that extra little conference finals nugget there. Because I'm actually like pretty good in the early rounds, right? Zoo, Gobert, and Hart. Technically, Tatum can still hit your lineup. Kawhi. I'm sitting all right. Eason and Jabari Smith are. It's fine. They're fine on the same team. If he's still around, I might take Tari Eason, but it's probably not like a. They're probably not both getting minutes ceilings in the same. Like Amen, Brooks, Şengün, and probably Van Vliet in this particular series are locked into their minutes. Jalen Green is mostly locked into his minutes, but I'm not sure that Jabari and Eason can both have like minutes ceilings in this series. Did you guys talk about team structure on yesterday's stream, as in building for final scenarios, 4-3-3 versus like all in one specific? Somewhat, yeah. So the interesting part of this one is I think if I had the absolute stone cold optimal way to build it, is I would have, so let's just use Underdog. I would have, let's just say 3 Celtics, right? And then 3 different options in the Western Conference, right? 2, 2, 2. So that's 9 of my 10 spots. So it could be, you could say 4, right? Whatever you do with that 10th guy, whatever. But I want as many options for the finals on one individual team as possible. And hopefully everybody wins their first round series, right? Obviously the Celtics win, and then all 3 of your teams in the West win. It would guarantee you then to have at least another team into that conference finals. That's, I think, if you had to build exactly what you would want to build on a team, that would be it for me. The problem is the drafts don't always work that way, right? So sometimes you do end up in just like my Underdog team was really just, set for one finals matchup. And sometimes this team is mostly set for one finals matchup. And sometimes that's how it goes. Like technically, Boston versus the Clippers is like not the worst, like the absolute worst thing for me. So maybe I should look at it. I don't think the Clippers even have another wing. Batum. I could draft Nick Batum on this team, but I'm going to take. Nas is still here. I don't have Nas on any of the. I just have to take Nas. I don't have Nas on any Tatum, Porzingis, whatever. So we're really tied to Josh Hart in the first round. We're really tied to Josh. Knicks need to win, and Minnesota needs to win, but we needed that anyway. So I don't mind this team. I really don't mind this team. We finished with, in order of position, Porzingis, Zubats, Rudy Gobert, and Naz Reid from Minnesota. So we're all in Minnesota again. You're going to see a lot of Minnesota on my teams. Maybe I'll try something different in this next one. Drew Holiday, Anthony Edwards, Josh Hart, Ty Jerome. There's a nice little one-off piece. Same thing with Jabari Smith, Jason Tatum, Kawhi Leonard, Jaden McDaniels, and Jabari Smith. Kind of a nice, to the question about like the way to construct rosters in terms of how many players from each team. Like I said, in my total dream, that's what it would be. But I've got, teams with like 3 Celtics, 2 Thunder, and a bunch of other shit. I got teams with, I got teams that optimized it for, 3 Celtics with 2 from 3 different West teams. I got teams with 3 or 4 Thunder and multiple teams from the East. You kind of have to feel it out. Every draft is going to like kind of present you some different opportunities. Sometimes the guys that are create your perfect structure are there available to you at every single pick. And sometimes they're just not. And sometimes you're really weak at a position and you need that big Jalen Green first round. And like Jalen Green doesn't fit your finals type stuff, you know, or Josh Hart, right? Josh Hart does not fit. I'm betting on the Celtics to make the finals. Josh Hart is going to play the Celtics in the second round if they win. That's not ideal, but I need for sure 1, probably 2 rounds, right? I need 2 rounds of those Josh Hart scores to get me, you know, Edwards and Drew can fill in for the 3rd round. And then the 4th round is what we've bet this team on, right? Is the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it's like every draft is going to be a little bit different. The story that you're trying to tell is going to evolve like at every single pick that you make. But if I had my druthers, yeah, it'd probably be 4-2-2-2, right? 4-3-3, something like that. If I could, it's just, especially on drafters, it doesn't always work out that way. Like 25, you know, so I'll be drafting then leading up until both of these contests lock tomorrow. This is when I really start to hammer. I don't know exactly how many I'll get in. This is filling a little bit quicker than only about 1,000 spots left here over on Drafters. But we're gonna pop in one more draft, which needs two more of you sickos. I'll try not to build the Timberwolves this time. Okay. We'll see what we can do without the Timberwolves and without the Rockets. my loves. It is crazy, man. I understand it. I understand how the betting markets work. I understand, you know, oh my, this is full on friends and family going on here. Even our guy Eagles out here. We got Artem. We got everybody in this draft. Like I definitely understand. Like the Rockets are not viewed as on the level of the Warriors. The Warriors certainly have gotten a lot better since they got Jimmy Butler. So the 7 seed is not really indicative of how good they are. And I mean, it's Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, and Steve Kerr against Alperen Şengün, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, and Dylan Brooks, and Fred VanVleet with Ime Udoka as the head coach. Like I get it, you know, I understand why the public sentiment is the way that it is, but I just think it's too far, right? I'm not saying that the Warriors can't win. I think the Warriors probably should be favored till we see what this Rockets team can do in the playoffs. But I think that it's just a little too far. I think this is a very tough matchup for both teams, but that includes the Warriors. A lot of sentiment you'll hear around the basketball community is the Rockets half-court offense. And it's very, you know, they're 21st or 22nd or something in half-court offense, despite actually being a pretty good offense. Like decent enough offense overall, but they're a pretty transition-based team and offensive rebounding-based team, which are difficult things to do both against this Warriors team and in general in the playoffs. But this is just like all the Rockets in these drafts are like free. And they're the 2 seed with the home court. And they, in the half court offense thing, they can make my life miserable. The Warriors half court offense was putrid against the Rockets in the regular season. Horrible. Right? If you make life tough on Steph, the Warriors half court offense is going to be bad. Even with Jimmy. I love Jimmy. Jimmy's going to have to score in this series because Steph ain't going and getting 40 every night like he does sometimes. It's just not going to happen. Not against this defense. Even setting aside how good the defense is, they're going to sell out for Steph. They're going to take him away. Amen's not going to leave him when he's got. Amen and Fred are not like, we're not switching. We're not getting caught up on screens. Nope. I'm not leaving your side. Good luck. So they're going to make life really, really tough on the Warriors. And I'm really excited to see how it goes. You know, what the Warriors do, I would not be the least bit surprised. So now here's the question is, do I do the Jokic? You can see I only have I'll try it. Okay. I don't normally do this. I'll try it. Yeah, it's so hard. Unfiltered says, I love the Wolves and Rockets stacks. They're just so cheap, and they can win. They can win. They're so cheap. They're going to score fantasy points, especially the Timberwolves, and they can win. And it's so hard not to just gravitate to that. And now I may end up with them here because I took freaking Jokic in the first round. But nonetheless, they're forgetting about Şengün Brooks. Şengün Brooks, Red's an NBA champ. It's a good team. They're a good team. So 100% of my Jokic teams have Mobley, by the way. So let's not do that. I'm not going to do the Giannis thing. I'm gonna go pull up Derek White a little bit. Let's try that out. See how that goes. Because right, if my bet is Jokic is going to score so many points, right? Even if he only plays 2 series, Jokic is going to score so many points. He fits so well with the best teams who we know are not going to score so many fantasy points, right? In the opening rounds. It's like, I'm going to backfill Derek White and some Celtics or Thunder or Cavs or whatever. That's why you saw Mobley on all my Jokic teams, which is probably a mistake. But I'm like, how do I take advantage of the fact that Jokic is going to score so many points even if it's just the first 2 rounds? If it's 3, it's fucking night. Like, if Jokic plays even 3 series, like, it's over. I don't know how you come back. I really don't. Unless the Celtics and Thunder lose a lot more games than I think they're going to along the way. I just don't know how you come back from it. I will say I do like the idea of just being like, these series are chaotic. Give me all the guys that are going to score a bunch in the opening rounds, and like maybe some mega cheap Thunder and like mega cheap Celtics or something, and like Jokic and Giannis and Halliburton and Ant and Brunson and Cat, and like just give me all the guys fantasy points. I don't think it's crazy. So speaking of that, now I'm going to take Drew. Unfiltered says only 6% of playoff best ball final teams have a live 5 players. That's the thing, and it's not even because people aren't building for that finals. It's because the chaos of how the playoffs, shake out. How many players or how many points players are scoring in the games that they're playing. But then, like last year, Pacers are going 7 games. Knicks are going 7 games. Mavs are going 6, 7 games. These teams are going. Some teams are going deep, and the Celtics are like, some teams played. The Pacers are playing more games in 2 rounds than the Celtics played in 3. So like, you're scoring so many points with those guys that, okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I know I said I wasn't gonna take Minnesota, but they're on the opposite side of the bracket. I can't help it. I'm taking Ant. Yep, exactly. Drew was super important for the finals last year, and he was useless all the way leading up to it. But you had Halliburton, Halliburton, Siakam, Luka, PJ Washington, whatever. You had those guys just carrying. Miles Turner was big. Josh Hart, Brunson, Hartenstein, like those guys were so big in the to get. They didn't obviously make the final. I mean, the Mavs did, but they didn't obviously make the finals. But you never used the Celtics scores ever because of all those other guys. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. Now, I don't know how I'm going to fill out the forward spots on this team. I don't know. Yeah, Hallie was a little. Siakam was the big one. Siakam, he scored really well and played 1 million games. And then Halliburton got hurt in the conference finals, which that sucked. That sucks so bad. I bet the Pacers in that series just for fun, not because I thought that they were going to win, but I bet the Pacers in that series. They played well. They're a team I need to make sure I continue to draft more, by the way, of the. Yeah, damn it. I was just going to take Siakam. Shit. Now I got to take Amen, don't I? All that big talk about not drafting those guys, and I have to take Amen Thompson, I think. Yep. I mean, I just don't have any forwards. This is terrible. This team stinks. I don't even know what the hell I'm going to do here. Craziest sweep I've ever seen in my entire life. Unfiltered says the Pacers almost won, and they got swept, and they were winning in the fourth quarter, late into the fourth quarter in 3 of 4 games. They could have been up 2-0, winning both games in Boston. Indy could have been, and they also went to overtime once without Halliburton. Or was it with Halliburton? Anyway, they could have won. They lost. They got swept 4-0. Very, very easily. Been up 3-1. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Got to take Şengün. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what we're doing here. This is not my best team, but I got to get some nuggies, and I assume. Let's see here. Okay. Showing how the sausage gets made here, but that's okay. I wonder which West team. It's probably Minnesota. Yeah, I have Ant. I know Randall's gone, but McDaniels is probably in play here. And so are the other Rockets guys, Jabari and Eason. I do actually still need another guard too. So no more centers. That's it. Şengün will hit the flex for us, which means Ant and Amen are in the lineup. But unfortunately, I can't take my guy Zoo here, even though what a smash. Yeah, I could do Josh Hart again, I think. I could. Miles Turner, Zoo. Okay. I'm just going to put Hart in the queue because I don't have Hart with Jokic either. No, I got it. I got to take Aaron Gordon. Must. Now I don't necessarily have to take those Rockets guys with Aaron Gordon. So that's good. Damn it. Who's fifth? Why, Dad? I do need to start tracking what my Celtics stuff is looking like here. I got the 2 guards. Let's think here. Could try to build this like just absolute mega. Yeah, this is definitely wouldn't be the playoff best ball if every once in a while you get so lost and the team is beyond saving. You just click the best players. Well, I'm not far from that from the team. We're always going to try to recover it, but sometimes you just reach a point where like, oh, this team sucks. This team sucks. I don't even like the Nuggets, and I'm just about to build for the Nuggets to make the fucking final. Okay. Hauser gives me a shot with some cheap Celtics at least. That's okay. So we got 4 more to figure out a friggin' finals matchup. I don't know. I just said I can't draft a center, which is not true, but oh gosh. This is terrible. Just terrible. Everything I said I was going to do or not do is becoming the total opposite in this. Well, I'll pass on the T-Wolves and the Rockets in this one. And then you get to the question earlier about like structure and all that. It's like, especially on drafters, I'm like, Well, my plan was something, and this what I need teams is just like totally throwing everything off, Let's sort by ADP real quick. Okay, Gobert is up next. I could try to like back into this, which I might do actually. Try to back into this crazy. I do think I'm gonna take Fred though. And I could try to back into this hilarious like I'm trying to think of who it would be. Luke Cornett, the shitty Jalen Williams, Derek White, Drew Holiday. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and like Isaiah Joe or something. Like it's not the crazy. I mean, it's not the craziest idea I've ever had. If the Nuggets win, if Houston wins, if Minnesota wins, that would be. Let's just see what happens. Build the single gross Celtics Thunder stack you've ever seen in your entire life. Let's try it and see what happens. Like I truly don't think Jalen Williams is going to play. You're hoping for garbage time. Whitehead taking all of our guys here. The nice thing about Minnesota, though, is we prefer Gobert, but Nas is a pretty good consolation prize. Like it's possible Nas just outscores Gobert in some of these series, maybe even in this first one. I'm not predicting that. I have more Gobert. I have Gobert ranked ahead of Nas, but Nas is right behind him. It's a nice perk of Minnesota. Right, same thing with McDaniels or whatever, who I don't. Yeah, he just got drafted anyway. Okay, who do I have? Oh yeah, this is so bad. This is just so bad. Luke Cornett, come on down, baby. I'm legit drafting the single worst Celtics Thunder stack you've seen in this tournament. It is Luke Cornett, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Sam Hauser, Jalen Williams, and remains to be seen who the last guy is. It's going to be bad, though. That we know for sure. At least there are some options. That's nice. No, that's not what we wanted. To default. I should not have done that. Let's go back to ADP. Okay. It should be good now. I mean, I kind of don't hate this team. I'm going to be honest with you. First round, Jokic, Şengün, Ant, Fred, Amen, Aaron Gordon. The problem is I'm probably going to need them all in the second round too. But if we can get this puppy, if all those teams can win, Houston, Minnesota, and Denver, I don't think it's absolutely crazy because, and I'm going to take Caruso, because if it's still OKC and Boston and they just like sweep, obviously Jokic will get knocked out in the second round, but they like sweep along the way. 2 rounds of Jokic, and so I shouldn't say sweep because the second round I'm going to want at least 5 or 6 games out of Jokic. But it's kind of not the most ridiculous. Using Jokic as a hand the torch piece to the Celtics, using Jokic and Aaron Gordon, but I get Ant or Amen, Şengün. So what I really do need on this team is Nuggets win round 1, Houston and Minnesota wins, and then Houston beats Minnesota. OKC beats Houston. Right, so this is the old Houston in the conference final build. I think we need the games to start. When you start building insane teams like this. But it was kind of fun. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Total gal braining some crazy path to first, using Jokic as a pass the torch to the Celtics and the Thunder. But I mean, Jokic, Şengün, Ant, like you can't get much 3 better players to use to pass the torch. I've built worse teams. I've built better. I've built better, but I've also built worse teams. Make sure to go over and check out Drafters. Use those free tickets that they're giving out. You can get a whole mess load of free tickets if you haven't tried out Drafters. You can see how fun and chaotic it can get with cumulative scoring in that draft right there. Use promo code SPIKE for 100% deposit bonus up to $100 for new users. And also, before we get out of here, hit the link in the description for the Discord, man. We're going to be hanging out. Even if you're not like drafting teams, you're just a hoops fan, we're going to be hanging out in the Spike Week Discord all during the NBA playoffs, watching the games, talking ball, having a good time. And of course, we got everything in there, right? NFL, MLB, PGA, NHL. You can talk with all the best ball sickos, strategy, or just, again, talk ball, hang out, whatever. We're in there. I'll be in there all throughout the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. And of course, in a week, we got NFL best ball season. So we got everything covered for you there in the Spike Week Discord. And of course, on spikeweek.com, tools, rankings, sub, you get all that kind of stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow in that Discord, and we will we'll have some fun sweating the games. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the nice weather, hopefully, where it is for you. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.